Welcome to the 19th edition of the Kennel NRL podcast. Kicking off today's podcast, my colleague Red is not in the mood to kick it off today after the weekend's debacle. There he is. Somber mood over here.
Hey guys, how you going? It's a crazy weekend, and you know what, Dibbo? Let me just start out by saying today's going to be a bit of a spicy one. I am going to give some really honest opinions about the Bulldogs. As you know, they got absolutely demolished. But there will be better times coming for the Bulldogs. I just want to say that on the outset. And if you want to go along on the ride with us, both good times and bad, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. Give us a like, as it really helps us continue to make waves in the algorithm. But yeah, so as you say, it is a very somber mood. Both our teams pretty much got smashed this weekend.
Oh, no, I don't think anyone remembers St. George.
I don't think anyone remembers even the Tigers. I mean,
No, we remember the Tigers and Canterbury, but St. George is the forgotten side.
Yeah, I mean,
52-16, the debacle still surrounding that club. They're like Teflon. Every time some calamity happens, a bigger calamity happens elsewhere.
They're very lucky.
And they just escape all the scrutiny, all the attention. Thank you, West. Thank you, Canterbury. Can I ask, how was your Sunday?
Let's just say it wasn't a pleasant 2 hours for me at all. It was quite stressful, actually, those 2 hours, because I went in there with a lot of hope. And I think the thing that hurts the most is when you go in there with a bit of hope and it gets absolutely demolished, you think to yourself, surely not again. So this is the third game in a row where we've been not just outplayed, but absolutely blown off the park.
Were you in attendance, or were you watching the game from home or somewhere?
No, I was watching the game from home. So I had a family member come back from overseas. So we're having a family barbecue. And, just before that, I was watching the game, and we're all supposed to be in a happy mood and a celebratory mood. But let me tell you, there was no celebrating on Sunday.
So did everyone give you like a 5 kilometre radius during the game and after the game, or were you like unapproachable?
Look, I'm not that nasty when the doggies lose, even if it was that bad of a loss, but I was pretty sour for the whole afternoon.
I can tell you, a lot of my mates who are Canterbury fans actually just started fighting amongst themselves. It got bad where they started abusing each other. I thought, jeez, like, Canterbury, what are you doing?
Typical rugby league fans.
These are destroying the morale of your followers. Jeez. Come on, boys.
Look, I'm going to be very critical of my team and my organisation, which is the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs today, but I just want to start, before I go on, and Phil Gould and Cameron Ciraldo mentioned this a few times over the last couple of days, and this is about player welfare. And I think I want to call this out because I think it's really important. Look, the players are booed off at halftime and at full time. Can I just say that is 100% acceptable? I don't care what anyone says.
I'm sure the players knew they were going to cop it.
It comes with the territory of being a rugby league player, and it comes with the territory of not showing any spirit in the game, not showing any fight. And as a fan, you're allowed to boo. I'm sorry, but if that's how your team performs, if I was at the game, I probably would have booed, because I'm in the heat of the moment as well. I'm a fan. Other fans are disappointed. I'm disappointed. One boo goes out, another boo, and it will snowball. I don't think that there's anything wrong with booing. What I do have a problem with is when things start to get a little bit more malicious, right? So, on the weekend, one of the radio commentators made a comment about Hayes Perham. And he said, if Hayes Perham was an animal, he would take him out back and
put him out of his misery.
Shoot him in the head and put him out of his misery. Like, I understand that. In essence, I understood what he was trying to say, but you can't use that analogy when referring to another human being, much less a young player who's only 21, who's a minimum contract, trying to do his best in a position that probably isn't even his to begin with, right? And this sort of goes out to the rest of the fans as well. Be as critical as you want. Even use profanity in a way that doesn't attack people. Like, people use profanity as part of their language. Whatever, do whatever you want. But when you talk about players, just remember they are humans. Just remember that they have thoughts, emotions, feelings, and they're probably just as upset that they got demolished as we are watching them get demolished. So be as critical as you want, but just remember, at the end of the day, you are talking about a human being, not just a number on a jersey. Right? That's all I want to say, but I'm not here to stifle any criticism, because let me tell you, there's going to be a lot of criticism today. A lot of criticism of so many people. Okay. But I needed to speak about that because, I saw a lot of things Granted, I have a lot of engagement on Facebook and Twitter and our pages. Be sure to like our Facebook page, our Twitter page, our Instagram page, our TikTok, all the pages. The links will be down in the description. But, you know, there's a lot of engagement. And honestly, 99.9% of it, I'm not even exaggerating, was actually quite appropriate. And people were just upset and they were giving real honest criticism. You know, and I'm talking hundreds and hundreds and close to thousands of messages, which I thought were harsh but fair.
How's the Kennel forum on the internet? What are the threads saying there?
Look, there's a lot of threads happening at the moment of very heavy criticism, which I think is founded. There was one thread, and thank you for bringing that up. There was one thread that was talking about some rumors that have come out about the team not gelling and Max King not wanting to be there, and Jacob Kiraz getting over the workload that he's had to do, and all these sorts of things. Look, when you're losing and losing badly, things like this start to come out. All this crap starts to get written that probably has no basis in reality.
I think Ken and Chris sitting on their couch must have got bored and decided to start some malicious rumors, as is always the case.
And look, we saw that with the Tigers, right, which is completely unfounded. We're seeing it now with the Bulldogs, which I think is completely unfounded. And, you know, and that's not obviously on the Kennel forum, but I'm just saying that there was a couple of threads there, and I think, you know, I don't necessarily think that's true, but obviously the fans there are devastated. They're heartbroken. Like, some of these fans I've personally been interacting with for over 20 years, since the early 2000s. We've been talking about rugby league and about the Bulldogs for a very long time. And the forum's been going strong now for 20, 25 years. And there are some people that have been there and been hardcore doggy supporters for a very long time. So naturally, people are very upset. And rightfully so. Let me say rightfully so. But yeah, I think let's just keep in mind that these are our players at the end of the day. Let's just keep in mind that they are human beings. Be as harsh and as critical as you want. Just remember, you're talking about human beings who have extended families, who have friends, who have partners, who have kids. And, you know, the way you talk about them will affect everyone. So be harsh in your criticism, but don't be personal, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
You just don't be a grub.
Yeah, look,
I mean, if you're going to say stuff that you can't hack, if somebody said it to you and you want to react and probably beat up the person or kill the person, if they say the exact same thing back to you, then don't say it.
Yeah, I agree.
Do not say it. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, you know, you wouldn't want to take criticism at your job from anyone, so...
Look, granted, I think that...
And being put down that you're worthless and you're useless and, you know, you suck at life and you should be taken out behind the back shed and put down.
That's so stupid, isn't it?
You're ashamed to your family. You're ashamed to your wife and kids. No.
That's so stupid, isn't it?
Silly.
I mean, playing first grade is an achievement in and of itself, especially some of these kids that are 20, 21 and, you know, 18 in some cases where, they're doing their absolute best. I think it's not too bad. Right?
It's so hard to make first grade.
It is. It is.
A lot of people will never understand that. I'll say it now. I don't care if they hack that or not, but 99% of people are never going to know how hard it was to make first grade, because you grow up, you play with some elite guys, and then, you know, they're great in the 18s, they make the 20s, but then they don't progress beyond the 20s because everyone else was better, or they might make reserves.
Yeah.
You think, but geez, this guy was superstar coming up, and it's just like, oh, these guys must be a lot better, but this guy was the most dominant guy my age. That's how hard it is to make first grade.
No, agreed.
No one that plays first grade is incompetent at what they do. They are all elite. They are there because they were good enough to make it. I mean, it just comes down to, I guess, a number of factors: coaching, right combination of players, doing the 1%ers right time, right place. Sometimes you do well at a club. You might not do well at your junior club, but you might go somewhere else for an opportunity. Different environment, and you thrive. Yeah, just how it is.
No, I agree. And well put. I think that's excellently put. I think, you know, we've got to keep that in mind. But niceties out of the way. You know, a lot of people have messaged me and said, hey, on the podcast, can you know, just get the message out there to the club if they see this, talk on our behalf, you know, be critical of the team and of the performance. And I think I'm just about ready to be critical.
Oh, yeah, let loose. That's all right. I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm just waiting for you to go. I mean, just let that rocket go.
What the heck was that performance? What was going on? What I struggle to understand how our team has devolved further than where it ended last year. Like, honestly, Phil Gould comes out and he says, no, the club is in a better position than it was last year. The organisation might be in a better position, but the team certainly isn't. Let's be very, very, very honest here, guys. Right? As a playing roster and as a performance, we had some great performances under Mick Potter last year. This year, we have not even, bar maybe the first 4 or 5 weeks, we haven't even been a shadow of that. On Sunday, they scored 80 to 90% of their tries on one side. Right? Seraldo hooks Khalid Rajab, the 20-year-old, the young guy who's only played 3 games, yet keeps on Alamotti, also a young guy, who made the same errors again and again and again, and who got absolutely destroyed by Best. Right? You're saying, okay, players aren't doing that well, the team doesn't do that well based on multiple factors. Well, I say that Cameron Seraldo and Phil Gould need to put their hand up and say, yes, we got things wrong.
Are you saying that based on the whole Alamotti thing, for example, that Seraldo's got his pets, in other words, he's got his favourites?
Look, I don't know if he has his favourite, but he has experiments that he refuses to fix. Right? Until you get shellacked. Like, I'm absolutely flabbergasted that it took us a 66-0 drubbing for him to finally decide to say, okay, Alamotti needs to go back to New South Wales Cup. I called it 4 weeks ago. Right? It took him this long, 19 weeks to say, yeah, let's move Hayes Perham from fullback.
So where's Hayes Perham playing today?
Look, they haven't, I don't know, I haven't seen the New South Wales Cup team yet.
Oh, so
but he's not at fullback for this week's game against the Rabbitohs.
He's not in first grade?
No, he's been dropped.
Has Alamotti been dropped?
Yes, Alamotti's been dropped.
So who's your centres?
So you've got Burns and we'll get to that.
Burns is good.
Burns is one centre.
Kiraz?
No, Kiraz is on the wing, and then you've got Jackson Topine in the other centre.
Oh, interesting.
Which again, I don't agree with. Right? You've got Jarrell Skelton that you can bring in there. I
watched him play in the reserves. He's very good. Did he get a run on the wing at the least?
No, not at all. He's got Blake Wilson replacing Josh Adokar.
He's good.
Which is, look, I'm happy with. I want Wilson.
Casey?
No, I want Wilson to get as many opportunities because every time he plays, he does well. Right? Not a problem with Blake Wilson, but it's just like, why did it take him so long to make decisions and changes that the fans have been calling for months? We could see so far out that Perham wasn't working at fullback. And I'll tell you, just to compound my frustration, right? Phil Gould today in the press conference that he gave said that he doesn't actually believe Hayes Perham is a fullback. He believes that he will develop into a utility and that he probably isn't actually a fullback.
That's what I've always thought. I honestly think Hayes Perham would be a very good winger or even a decent centre.
I think it would be a decent centre too. But why did it take Cameron Seraldo this long to make this change?
I think Cam Seraldo probably saw something in the preseason and thought, these are my combos. I think he just persevered with it for much too long when realising it didn't work. That's what I'm thinking. Even with Alamotti in the centres, for example, I think he just persevered with it for too long. And
granted, he probably did persevere with it too long. But against the Eels, they targeted us down that side. Penasini had it all over him, right? Then he moved him this week, right, to the other side, and then Best had it all over him. Right? The week before the Sharks, that probably wasn't Alamotti's fault. The whole team was crap. But and look, even and I'm not saying they're crap. They just performed poorly. Right? But even against the Knights, like, I'm not blaming Alamotti for the loss. I'm just saying that it was far too easy for them to score on our right-hand defense again and again and again and again. And instead of saying, okay, let's take Alamotti off, let's maybe move, I don't know, let's move Burton to that centre. Let's keep Rajab on with Averillo in the halves or something. He takes Rajab off, but keeps Alamotti there. He's almost like, and I know he didn't do this on purpose, but it's almost like he's setting, he set Rajab up for the failure of a lifetime almost. That's going to be very hard to come back from for both Alamotti and Rajab.
They'll be all right. They're first graders. They're grateful for the opportunity. They've done the yards to get there.
Where are our forwards?
Yeah, I was about to get there.
Where are our forwards? I don't understand what. Like, I'm sorry. TPJ. Ever since he's got dropped from the New South Wales team,
he's on the bench today.
He's on the bench. But he made 32 meters last week.
What about your other forwards?
I mean, Ryan Sutton.
Did he play?
He did play, unfortunately.
Didn't realise he was out there. He's starting this week.
But then again, you look at like our second row, like Curtis Moran and Jacob Preston are the only ones that seem to be actually putting their hand up for anything.
Yeah, Preston. I think Preston's going to win your Player of the Year, him or Averillo this year. Probably Preston's going to shade him.
Honestly, if Preston doesn't win Rookie of the Year for the whole competition, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
You know, and I'll go out on a limb and say this guy will be our captain sooner rather than later. Because one of the things that I'm also finding, and you know, this is difficult for me to say, but our captains are not leading.
Who is your captain? I'm still not clear on
It's
who.
supposed to be Marnie and Burton as the on-field captains.
There you go.
You know, and look, I love Burton. I think Burton has all the potential in the world, but it's just come down to, and look, without a go forward, you can't really do anything. But you know, there's no variation in the kicking game. You know, he's not a 7. That experiment has failed. That experiment failed from the first week. He was at 7.
Is he a 4?
He's a 6.
You won't put him in a 4.
He's a 6. He's got the try assists. He's got the kick. He's got the run. He's got the pass. He's just not a He's not a game manager. You can't put a circle into a square hole.
So he can just focus on his left side.
He can look. I don't care what side he focuses on, but he's not as game manager. He can't burden that. He can't shoulder that burden on his own.
Well, there's an announcement. You guys got someone to see if they can manage that for you. Might be a temporary fix.
Look,
Toby Sexton.
We've signed him for 2 years, and I think it's a good signing. I think he's a natural 7. He's a natural game manager, and as long as he can do the simple things right, it can unlock Burton's running game.
He's played finals footy before.
He has played fun, and I think he's been excellent. And to be honest, I think they thrust him in that leadership, in that number 7 position way too early, right? At the tight end. I think him alongside Fogarty for a year, you would have seen Sexton become unbelievable. And I still think Sexton has the ability to become a leading number 7.
Look, he comes in, obviously new energy to the side. He's got a point to prove because he was in the reserves for the Gold Coast Titans. Obviously, he's got a new environment. He'll be fully motivated. But the most pressing issue I find at your club, for me, is the forwards. They are not clicking whatsoever. You
could have Andrew Johnson 7 and Thurston at 6, and you still wouldn't get anywhere with our team as if our forwards don't get a roll on.
Exactly, and that's my most pressing issue because I wouldn't say they got a depleted south side, but they do have a south side missing Kalamatangi and Cody, Walker and
Cook, Campbell Graham, Latrell Mitchell, Jai Arrows. They're missing a massive...
They still got depth south. So they're missing about 6 or 7 rep players because they are actually rep players.
They are.
So you may see drastic improvement this week.
Look, I don't... you know me, I've taken a stance. I'll never, ever tip against my team, but informally...
it's happening, boys. He's about to tip against his side. Everyone, he's paying attention.
I think the Dogs will scrape through in a very, very, very narrow one.
4 points?
No.
How much?
Golden point.
Golden point. I'm just thinking, if your side gets over on the weekend, I'll take you out for a nice dinner.
Bro, if my side gets over on the weekend, I'll take you out for a dinner. How about that? It's just at the moment. Look, you know, and I'll go back again, right, to the booing from the fans and you know the criticism. So I think the criticism is warranted. The criticism is warranted, right? You know, and Seraldo talks about building a culture of winning. He talks about, there's a habit of losing and there's a culture of losing and we need to change that. I understand that.
I'll tell you what was worse. I think Newcastle sitting, 14th?
They were just 14th. One position above us.
I think they're still 14th. It's not like you guys got walloped 66-0 by First, who's probably lost 1 or 2 games all year.
No.
We got a side, but I think one win ahead of you.
Only 1 win ahead of us.
Playing at home. 66-0. Jeez.
There's just no explanation for it. Honestly, like, you know, Serrano wants to talk about culture and trying to build a winning culture and things like that. And I can handle losses. I can handle not winning. Okay. But to lose 66-0, you know.
They got monstered by the opposition forward pack.
It wasn't even getting, even their forwards.
Men versus boys.
It's not even that the forwards were destroying us. It's just our line speed, all right,
non-existent.
Was good for 5 minutes. Right?
Who leads your line speed?
I don't know. It's supposed to be Marnie, and Marnie's the only one. No one else is running up with him. Right? Our line speed is poor. Okay. Our backs are tired or not bothered or not motivated.
Like,
you know, Averillo he put him into the 6, and I thought, you know, why hasn't he done something like this from the beginning?
Like, I just want to point out, like, the fans, some of the men in the journos in the media, they've had their scapegoats for Canterbury all year. Like, all right, no Flanagan last week, no Waddell last week, for example. I mean, those two have been scapegoats the whole year and 66-0. So the problem is much deeper than individuals in the side.
Agreed. It's not an individual problem. And I said this, months ago, if you recall. We're a better team with Flanagan in it.
He's 14 this week, so he's on your bench.
I think it's a great decision.
He can cover a few positions now, so I think him playing hooker in the reserves has done him the world of good.
Yeah.
It might prolong his NRL career. I want to ask you, last year, you guys had Paul Vaughan in the front row. He went to England.
Don't remind me.
Who else did you guys lose?
From the forwards, it was primarily Paul Vaughan.
No one else that was partnering him up front. It was a massive loss.
No, because don't forget, last year we had Paul Vaughan, we had Max King, we had Luke Thompson.
I don't think Paul Vaughan, I've seen him have a poor game. From the time he was at St. George all the way through to Canterbury.
I never understood why they didn't re-sign someone like Paul Vaughan, to be honest. I think his go forward would have made a very big difference for us this year. His experience would have been able to... Because here's the thing, right?
And he doesn't miss games. Like, he's just consistently kept his body in shape. He's a big body.
Very big body.
He's played rep footy, so...
And to be honest, like...
A massive loss.
Last year, he was having... I wouldn't say career best form, but he was right up
he
there.
was a standout for you guys.
He was a standout as
I couldn't believe it that you guys didn't offer him more than a year contract.
We kept Luke Thompson and he hasn't played a single game for us. Like,
that's where you guys are missing Luke Thompson.
But even if he had...
But if he's had Vaughan and Thompson?
Well, I mean, think of it this way, right? All our forwards are young, bar TPJ, and TPJ just isn't performing.
Kickout, but he's not there.
But Kickout's injured. Luke Thompson's injured. If we had someone like a Paul Vaughan to be the experienced head... Oh, and don't forget, we lost Jackson as well, right? We lost Jackson over the summer. He retired.
Oh, Josh Jackson.
Yeah,
I'm thinking who's Jackson?
Yeah, Josh Jackson. We lost we lost an Adam Elliott. We lost Jack Hetherington.
So there you go. That's who you have lost. You've lost experienced bodies who are still going to churn you out the meters, who are still going to do a dent in the lineup, who could still basically put a hit on the opposition.
Had experience.
They're not walkovers.
They weren't walkovers.
Jack Hetherington, you guys have missed him as well. I know he got suspended a lot, but you just named me 4 or 5 players that would have been your starters.
And the thing is, one of the problems is that we just haven't had that consistent, mature, experienced forward to rally all the other young props around him. Max King is still very young in his NRL career. He's tried very hard, Max King. He's tried very hard.
Can I ask, do you think he's an aggressive forward, like he's an intimidator, he can really dent the opposition? I don't find him as a starter.
Look,
for me anyway.
Max King, up until I would say maybe around 11 or 12,
doesn't have that aggression.
Was probably one of the form props of the competition. You may not agree with this, but he was holding the forward pack on his back.
First 10 rounds? I
think he's fatigued and he's had to do too much work too early in the season, right? Didn't have anyone to support him. He only had a couple of young guys. And look, the other thing that needs to be mentioned, and I think this is the inexperience from Seraldo, and we called this out in the beginning. We said if he chooses Carl at 7, stick to Carl. If he chooses someone else at 6, stick to them. Is that there's been a merry-go-round in the halves that has caused instability in our team.
When you don't get the results or the look, I'll tell you what. I'll explain something. Sometimes a coach comes with a game plan. They practice things at training. A lot of people may not see about on game day and at the game. For example, they got set plays or positioning and that. The coach will identify that, or even his coaching staff will identify. Oh, he hasn't executed this chord set. For example, they'll call an exit set. He won't organise that. He won't call the plays during that set, for example, or he won't position himself. There's a lot of things in there that they train and want the half, for example, to do, and he doesn't do it. They might ask him to want him to run the ball more, and he hasn't done it. This is why you've seen a problem. I'll tell you now, it also happens with backs. It happens with forwards. Sometimes I'll say, how come this guy's been there for so long? Well, I'll tell you what, and the results haven't come as desired, but that player, for example, has executed the coach's game plan for him specifically. He's playing according to how the coach wants to play for him. That's why he's stuck there for so long.
No, I'm with you. But what I'm saying is that, okay, so he said, let's get rid of Flanagan. Let's move Burton to 7. Let's put Reynolds at 6. And then
I didn't agree with that either, but I'm not the coach. But
kept doing that. Then he brought Alawapu to start. Then he had Rajab on the bench. And so this chopping and changing is also causing instability in the team.
So I don't get it. He got Alawapu in. He gave the young Carl Rajab a run, but now he's gone and recruited Toby Sexton. So
look, I don't,
it's put competition for half spots, but Now you got, what, 4 or 5 halves to go into 2 spots?
Well, here's the problem, right? What happens to Oloapu?
Does Oloapu stay in 6? Does Birdo go into the centres? Is that the plan?
Well, apparently Phil Gould is saying that Oloapu probably isn't a 6 and he's more of a lock, which I don't disagree
Oh,
with.
he'll grow into it. He's still, how old is he? 18?
Yeah, 18. He's got
Oh,
plenty
he's
of
only
time.
18.
He's got
Don't
plenty
be
of
critical,
time.
guys. He's 18 years old.
I'll be honest. Seeing what Oloapu's defense was doing for us, I think saved our butts a lot.
How old's Olamati? 18?
19.
And everyone's
19,
been,
20.
he's still
No,
young.
no,
He
look-
could have, look, I'll tell you now, they have a right to be critical, but from a coaching point of view, he got a lot of time in first grade and they probably persevered with him for too long. But there's nothing wrong in playing him in reserves to hone his skills more and get more, get more than that. Him playing reserves, he'll dominate his opponents more.
And
He'll
build
do the
more
world of good
confidence.
for his confidence, trying things and that. So, yeah.
And you make a good point, and here's what I say: there should be criticism towards Seraldo, right? Because we're all criticizing Alamoti quite harshly, and he's a 19-year-old, right?
19.
But hang on a second,
Very young.
He's had some flaws that fans have identified in his game, and I'm sure Seraldo's identified his game for a while now. Leaving him in the first grade side leaves him out to dry. Hangs him out to dry because if he continues to perform poorly and we cop on the weekend, the fans are obviously going to target the players that we thought played poorly.
Look, I'll tell you now, the one thing I admire about Cam Seraldo is he's loyal to his players. He's stuck with them for so long. Probably too long in a lot of instances. I know some people are going to say, but he didn't stick by Khaled. Well, we gave Khaled 3 games. He's probably told Khaled, I need you to go to the reserves and just hone your defensive skills a bit more, or maybe execute more plays.
that's
I don't
fine.
know. I mean, everyone's got a game plan.
No, but that's fine. Look,
For him to get hooked on the weekend, I definitely didn't agree with that. But
he wasn't the problem.
definitely not. He was getting no protection from his forward or his centre.
Or his second rower. Where were they?
Yeah, his forwards. Yeah, and that's exactly what I said. Yeah, his forward or his centre didn't offer him no protection.
I think even the idea that Ockenbaugh is still the one starting at second row.
You think he needs time on the bench?
Ockenbaugh's done valiantly for us to fill a position, but he's not yet a fully fledged 80-minute second rower. I've always wondered, why aren't you shifting him around?
Is this week's game at Belmore?
No, this week's game is at Accor Stadium.
Again, eh?
Yeah.
It would have been nice if it was at Belmore.
I think there is a game at Belmore, but not next week.
Oh, look, I expect drastic improvements this week from the Canterbury side. Number of factors, obviously, South will be depleted. Obviously, 2 shellackings back-to-back.
3 shellackings.
Who was the third?
Eels, Sharks, Knights.
Let the Eels one slide.
I won't.
Stop being so
No,
harsh.
I don't think the Eels one should slide. I know that TPJ had a big part to play in that loss, but the whole team, and Toronto came out and he said, look, we're probably not at that level where someone can come out and be the aggressor without someone covering them. Yeah. Right? He should, there should have been someone help sort of covering him. It was we were torn too easily. But look, again, it's just really hard as a fan to not be just absolutely demoralized. Like last week, I was like, we have to manage expectations. We have to, we know it's a young team, but then they come out and they just get absolutely mauled. There's no description for what that was. We almost got beaten worse than the Tigers.
So you got 8 rounds to go for the rest of the year. What's the plan here?
We won't win another game.
Oh, come on.
We're not going to win another game. And you can hold me to that.
So does that mean you guys end up with a wooden spoon?
I don't think the Tigers will win another game either. Hang on a second.
That place St. George.
I feel sorry for the Tigers.
Why?
I do. Because they're in just as bad a situation as we are.
I don't get the Tigers. I thought their forward pack, it's more stacked than yours. It's more experienced.
It is, but,
What's going on?
Is
it just the game management of that side is very poor?
Was
it just wrong coaching? I mean, it has Tim Sheen's, is his use-by date gone?
Look, I don't want to pile on the Tigers. I do feel sorry. I know, trust me, if there's anyone that knows what the Tigers feel like, it's a Bulldog supporter, and I don't want to pile onto them. I do feel sorry that I hope they come back and have a strong game this week.
74-0.
Yeah, 66-0 is not much better, bro.
It's funny, the day before, on that day, Canterbury fans were praying that, the Cowboys would hit 92 points just to erase them from the record books. And St. George fans were praying that the Tigers would hold on just so they could keep the record.
Yeah, it's
74-0.
Yeah.
It's not like the Cowboys are high up the ladder. I know they have drastically improved. But can you imagine if that was first, Canterbury or West were playing?
Yeah. I mean,
that 91-point record would have went.
can you imagine what's going to happen to us when we verse the Panthers or the Broncos?
Oh, they'll rest their team. It's okay.
Oh, well, I mean, I hope they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I really hope they do.
You got
Otherwise,
Broncos on Origin week?
no. Next week we have. Hang on, I'll just show you. But anyway, as this goes on, like, you know, everything that all the criticism, I think, is warranted. You can't look at the end of the day. The Bulldogs have had a gutful for 6-7 years, and when you come back and say you're rebuilding, and then they come and perform like that, you're going to get criticism, and it is warranted. When you get booed off, I'm sorry, Marnie came out and said, you know, we're trying to fix this. You either get on the bus or you hop off. I'm sorry, he did come out and he say he was sorry for the comments and things like that. And Marnie's not the problem. I love Marnie. I think Marnie is a great dummy half. He tries so hard for the team, and I know he's passionate about it. So this is not me saying, you know, Marnie this, Marnie that. I love Marnie. Let me be very clear. But, and I know he was probably really upset as well, and he wasn't happy with the booing. But if you're going to perform like that, you're going to continue to get booed. I'll
tell you what,
that's the truth.
I can empathise with the Canterbury fans. I mean, why they're over the top about their side. I mean, it's been a tough 6-7 years. But if you go back before that, they had literally about a 40-year sustained period of success.
Which is why we're so upset, because we demand success.
Where in that 40-year period, they probably only missed the finals a handful of times, and every couple of years they were in the grand final. I think in that 40-year period, they must have won 4 or 5 grand finals. So to not make the finals 6 or 7 seasons, am I right in saying that? I can understand where they're coming from. But look, if you stick tough by your side, I'll just give you an example. South Sydney fans, if you go back to the 90s and most of the 2000s, didn't see their side. They even got thrown out of the comp. They even said in the 90s, South were the cellar dwellers.
Yeah. Like
when they got kicked out of the comp, we thought, yeah, geez, they're garbage.
Yeah.
Like, why do we want to keep this side? They can't seem to come out of the bottom too. You know, no one was watching them. They used to get 2,000 people to Redfern Oval. Redfern Oval, that was dilapidated, falling apart. They had the worst side, thrown out. It took 2 decades, but things turned around. Russell Crowe bought the club.
It better not take us 2 decades for us to turn around. Let me tell you.
But look at Souths now. Like, you know, everyone's highly critical of calling Souths fan grubs, but a lot of them forget that for 2 decades, Souths fans were copying it from everyone.
I love the passion of the Souths fans. No, not for 1 minute. I dislike.
And look at them now.
No, I think
they got the most members in the game.
Incredible.
They seem to attract players left, right, and centre.
Incredible.
The membership packages they do for their fans attend the games. Like, they're in the finals literally every year.
And look, it's great perspective, and I really appreciate you putting that out, because really,
it's a cycle in rugby league.
It is a cycle, but look, Bulldogs fans are very fickle, and I'll say that honestly because I'm fickle.
They had it good for so long, and
we've
that's
had it
why
good
they're
for so
not.
long,
Yeah,
and then we were in 2012. Right, in the early 2010s, we made 2 out of 3 grand finals. Sure, we didn't win one.
Should have won one at least.
We should have, but we were experiencing some sort of success, and we demand that. And that's what Bulldogs fans are like. We were winning a grand final every 10 years or so. Which, when you look at the history of the NRL up until recent memory, that's actually a pretty good strike rate. Right? And now we go 6-7 years where we're constantly down the bottom. And Doggies fans, we demand success. We will do everything for the club, but if there's no success, we will ask for it. We will demand it, right? And here's the problem. I probably want to add this one thing that I think everyone should keep in perspective. I know I've been very critical, but I do want to add one little caveat. All of this, I believe, stems to our instability in the board from the mid-2010s. Right? After Aileen Castle and
too much politics.
Way too much politics, and then Lynn Anderson's posse came in, and obviously she was only for a year or so, and then she left. Like, I think that's where our failure actually comes from.
What about George Curry and his mafioso still on there?
Look, I think the board at the moment is doing well, and they've got a long-term vision. They're making money for the team. There's off-field success. We just want on-field success. In fact, it's not that we want on-field success. We just don't want on-field humiliation. That's really what it is. Let me put it out there. We are not demanding a grand final. We're not demanding immediate success. We just don't want on-field humiliation. That's what the Bulldogs fans want. We just don't want on-field humiliation. And I don't think that's a lot to ask for.
I can bet you one thing, with your coaching staff, there will be changes in the off season, whether it's assistants, performance coordinators, fitness gurus.
So many
there will
injuries,
be changes.
They
won't rest on their laurels.
You know, and Look, it's interesting. You know, I think Phil Gould. I have to give props to Phil Gould. He took the press conference today as opposed to the coach or the players, which I think gives the players and the coach time to regroup, to go back to training, do some sessions, understand, how they can arrest the situation, what things they could change in the next, 5 days to improve over our performance against the Knights. And look, even if we only lose by 30, that's still a bloody improvement, right? So any improvement is going to be, positive in my eyes. But
Can I say something? You don't sound as disappointed as I thought you would. Have you just gotten used to losing?
Yes. Honestly, yes.
God. You got a positive outlook still about you.
Look, at the end of the day, when I started this podcast, I'm a diehard Bulldogs fan and I have been for 21 years.
I think the Bulldogs got the most diehard fans.
What am I talking about? 21 years? I'm going back to 96.
I think Bulldogs got the most diehard fans I've met.
Right. I'm not about to jump off the bandwagon just because, my team's going through a rough time. I love the Bulldogs. I've always loved this team. Back when, we were the comeback kings in 98, back when in the Sydney Bulldogs and, we won the grand, there are memories ingrained in my head that I'll never forget about the Bulldogs, and I'm the most diehard Bulldogs fan
Terry
you'll ever
Lamb,
meet.
Craig Polamalu.
Bro, Luke Patton, I can go through all the players that we've had over, the ones you don't probably bench. There's so many that I can go through, and I love this club, and that's probably why I'm so passionate about it, because I don't want to see this disappointment. Not for me, not for the fans that I interact with. And this is why I started the podcast, because I love talking rugby league. I love talking Bulldogs. I want to be a part of the theatre and the spectacle of when the Bulldogs do come back to life, when they are successful. I want to be there talking about it with the fans, with you guys, with Dibbo, with everyone engaging, right? There's no lack of support from me. It's just I'm gonna be critical. I'm a Bulldogs fan, and by my very nature, being
yeah, you're the Canterbury breed, eh? The mighty Bulldogs, the Canterbury breed.
I'm a fiery ginger. I'm that fiery, that type of Canterbury breed.
Canterbury breed. There you go.
And we're always going to be critical when things aren't going our way. And I remember in 2008 when we copped the spoon, when when he who must not be spoken about walked out on us in 2008. I'm
trying to think who walked out on you.
And we got the spoon in 2008. In 2009, we were one milking penalty away from becoming minor premiers in 2009, if you remember.
You guys should have made the grand final that year.
Look, we should have.
But then Parramatta rocked up in that game.
Jared Hayne.
You know what? Mortimer had a cracking game. Daniel Mortimer, son of your nephew of one of you, or rather son of one of your club legends.
Yeah.
He had a cracking preliminary final. But look, Philly as well.
Point is, right, the good times will come. And in 2008, if you guys remember, we thought the good times were over, right? We had won a grand final only 4 years earlier, and in 2009 we were back there on the big stage. And then we had a couple of bad years, and then we got Desi Hasler, and we were back in grand finals, and that's what the Bulldogs fans want.
The glory days were back.
And the glory days will be back, and I have full faith in Seraldo and Gould. So me criticizing is me saying we want you to be better, not saying we think you don't deserve to be there. Let me just give that disclaimer. But and look, Gould deserves a lot of criticism, right? He interacts with fans a lot, and I think it's a blessing to have someone like Gould at the club, because when he recognized that this was a bad performance, and he came out and he said, I'm going to go to the press conference, I'm going to speak to the media, I'm going to be the shield that protects the club, that protects the coach and the players. And he let the media take aim at him, and he answered every single question that they put towards him, right? And yes, he is disappointed, and no, he did not expect such a bad result, and he said things might not get better very quickly. But he's saying that the future is going to be much brighter. And he's identified, we need to improve our forwards. And they asked him, they said, are you going to go for Payne Haas? And he said, well, why wouldn't you?
Oh, bloody oath.
Off contract.
Look, can I say, just on that topic, I mean, if they don't get Payne Haas, Jordan McLean, I keep saying Brock McLean, but Jordan McLean's available. I think the Saifutis might be available. Matt Lodge, we've spoken about him before. He will be available. Wake, I think, might be coming off contract, and now you're hearing rumblings of Fafita and can you pronounce his name, folks?
Tina Fa'asuma Alawi.
There you go. They're available. There's a few other front rowers who are coming off contract who are available. It doesn't have to be Payne Haas.
Agreed. No, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. And I think, look, Gould and Seraldo are not stupid. They're going to be making the right calls at the right times. right? And they even asked him, they said, would you take the opportunity to bolster the roster even before November? So maybe before the August 1st deadline. And he said, look, some clubs will start making some moves sort of towards the end of July. And if the right player comes up, absolutely, we've got salary cap.
I reckon they should make their move now. If they're allowed to speak to players, certain players, make your move now. You can't afford a forward pack next year, same. Lacking experience,
I agree with you.
Players that are going to bend the line there. So make your move now.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sure Phil is anyway.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I think
can see it 3 years from now.
I just don't think that the attitude and the lackadaisical defense is going to change overnight. I just think that we're in for a very tough 2 to 3 months. That's what I think.
2 months. Yeah, okay. Hopefully, he's have a good ending to the year.
We won't. Can
see it 3 years from now. Terry Lamb's been plucked out of nowhere to save the club. Reaches out to 83-year-old Wayne Bennett. I won't get there. Hopefully not.
We won't get there. But look, I just want to. I don't have high hopes for the rest of the season unless we see drastic improvement on the weekend against the Rabbitohs. I don't really see much changing.
There'll be improvement.
But speaking about the weekend, I have to say I'm glad that Ciraldo has finally made some changes to the team. So I want to read out the team very quickly and then we can sort of talk about the changes that were made. So the team, this is from fullback in order of position.
Long overdue.
Fullback, Jake Averillo.
Long overdue.
Great move. Wing, Jacob Kiraz. Inside him on the centre, Braden Burns. Great move. Jackson Topine at centre.
Does he have the...
Why?
You need a pace. I mean, is he... All right, he might be able to defend well, but does he have that bit of extra zip? Well, I mean, what happens if a player gets on the outside or inside of him?
Jackson Topine, I don't think is that quick.
Is he agile on his feet?
He is agile on his feet.
So,
right?
Well, let's see how he goes.
I mean, look, let's see how he goes. But I will give you a theory.
I don't really agree with it.
Let me give you a theory, and then I'll what's it called? I'll explain to you what I think he's trying to do there. Right? He's got Matt Burton at 6, and immediately has put Toby Sexton at 7. Right?
Blake Wilson, the other winger.
Blake Wilson, the other winger, alongside Jackson Topine.
Sure, you have a good game.
Matt Burton at 6, Toby Sexton at 7, which I think is very interesting and I'll explain why in a minute. Our forwards. We've got Max King at 8, Reid Marnie at 9, Ryan Sutton at 10, Jaden Okunbor at 11, Jacob Preston at 12, and then Raymond Faitala Mariner comes back into the starting team at 13. That's a weak forward pack. Right,
you need someone to go out there and just whack one of the South boys. Obviously not high, but just put on some shots.
Show some energy, right?
Put on some shots.
The bench is Kyle Flanagan, Curtis Morin, Tevita Pangai Jr., and Harrison Edwards. Altogether, not a bad.
Morin's a very small forward.
He is, and he brings a lot of energy.
But you got Flanagan there as well on the bench. Like you got 2 forwards, but all right.
Let me tell you what I think might happen. Okay, because the extended bench is Reece Hoffman, Carl Oluwapu, Gerald Skelton, Ethan Keyward, and Chris Patolo.
Right.
So here's what I assume might happen. If Toby Sexton doesn't get the approval, right, to play for the Bulldogs this week because of all the salary cap auditors and things like that, what I think might happen is Carl Flanagan moves into the 7, right? Jackson Topine moves to the bench. Right, and then you can have either Gerald Skelton or Ethan Keyward come into that centre position. That's what I think might happen. I think that he's trying to cover all his bases.
But doesn't Gerald Skelton play on the wing in reserves?
He can play wing or centre.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. So, but then I mean, you can have Gerald Skelton on the wing, or you can have Ethan Keyward at centre. Right, big centre we bought from Brisbane. So I think there is a little bit up in the air right now, but I will say like our forward pack is still it's barely mid. It's quite a soft forward pack compared to if you look at the forwards of the South. You've got Tavita Totola, you've got Saliva Havili at 9, you've got Thomas Burgess, Ben Lovett, while still quite young, big forward. Then you've got Michael Cheekham and Shakai Mitchell. Right, and then
they still got an imposing forward pack.
They've got a very imposing forward pack.
Still missing some players.
Yeah, right. So, and then they've got Hame Sele, Moali, and Mamuzelis on the bench alongside Talis Duncan, who it's a much better forward pack than ours. And this is why I say we're going to struggle.
Hame Sele's off contract. He's another forward.
He'd be a great forward.
He's had a good season.
He's had a great season. But then if you bring him into a weak forward pack, does he have the same impact?
No, look, it's a start. You bring a couple in, he strengthens up the rest will perform better. You're offering more resistance, so there'll definitely be improvement across the board.
Look, I agree. And the thing is, you look at the bench, you look at the reserves for the 18, 19, 20 for the Rabbitohs, and they've got Richard Kenner, Josiah Karapani, they've got Daniel Saluka Fafita, Liam Knight. Those two, I think, would walk into our forward pack, to be honest. They'll start for the Bulldogs over Marnie and Sutton. King and Sutton.
Well, there you go. There's quite a bit of forwards out there available. I mean, worth signing.
Yeah, look, it needs to be done. We really need to bolster up that forward pack. Then you bring in someone like a Viliami Kikau, right? And you sign another couple of forwards with, Luke Thompson's money, and you've got a fairly decent forward pack, right? And should Tavita Pangai Jr. even be re-signed? I honestly question whether he's worth even half what he's getting paid. I'm sorry, I don't mean to harp on it, but he's a big money forward, and he should be proving it.
Yeah,
and he just hasn't. Excuse me. So it's again, kudos.
That doesn't help the personnel. Look, he's not the only one. The others have offered absolutely no resistance.
I'm with you.
I'll be honest here. There's been games where he's put up some decent stats, and then no one else has offered any resistance. So he's got a large workload on him.
I'm with you.
He does need one or two other partners in crime with him. He's not. I don't think he's the biggest issue in the side. I mean, it's the bulk of the forward pack is just.
But in terms of what he's getting paid
too
for,
soft.
no, but in terms of what he's getting paid,
how much is he on? I don't even know.
Over $800,000.
Is that like rock solid? Is that confirmed?
100%. Trust me, he's on a lot of money. And for a forward, $800K to be getting paid that much money, like, you need to be the one that spearheads. You need to be the tip of the spear.
Should be doing 60 tackles a game, 30 hit-ups. Yeah.
You need to be the tip of the spear. You need to be playing 60, 70 minutes. You need to be doing... And look, I know I'm being overly critical from this, very comfortable chair, but I'm a fan. I'm allowed to be critical, right? We need to get away from this being too critical. No, I'm a supporter. This is my team, and I identify with this team, and I'm allowed to be this critical. Right? I'm not being personal. It's just I don't think that he's doing what he's getting paid to do. So, what are our chances on the weekend? Slim to none, but I say we win by 1 point.
There you have it. The Red has said that he's going to get home in a golden point.
It's just, I don't know. Now, just before we wrap up, I want to quickly talk about the New South Wales Blues team.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like, Freddie Fittler's making changes just as Cameron Ciraldo's making changes for the Bulldogs. Freddie's made some massive changes to the team. Now...
oh, look, Tedesco's there. Oh, wow.
What a surprise.
That's a big change.
Scott
Drinkwater was torching him on the weekend. I mean, he was the chance to put him in. But I think Freddie's just opting to go for a swan song and a 3-0 loss.
The Blues team, Bradman Best makes his debut at centre. Not a bad decision, I don't think. Can
I ask, who are the other candidates for centre?
Burton.
Right. All right, anyone else? What about the other guy from Penrith? Is it Isaac Targo?
Tango.
I
think he plays for New Zealand, doesn't he?
No, he's New South Welshman. I've never seen that guy have a bad game.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He's got a lot of pace about him, a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't think I've even seen him outplayed.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Why Bradman Best?
Look, Bradman Best had a cracker of a game against Alamotti on the weekend, and I think Fittler
against Cellar Dwellers Canterbury. He had a cracking game.
Sometimes I think he just makes those decisions on a win.
I'm sure any centre would have had a day out on that day with Canterbury.
Can you imagine if it was...
Targo?
Not Tango would have scored 10 against us. Or even if it was Campbell Graham. Campbell Graham destroyed us, and he's been destroying teams all year, but he's injured, unfortunately. I think he would have made it there if it wasn't for his injury.
I don't think Bradman Best has been in even the top 20 centres in the game at the moment. Based on performance. If you're going off the weekend performance, it's ridiculous.
Honestly, I feel like he is.
I think Isaac Targo. And who else was available?
I think the other thing is that he lines up against Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, which is a scary prospect. If you look at how good he's playing at centre, both for the Queensland Maroons and the Dolphins. So, he's got Cody Walker at 6. And this team looks a little bit confused to me, and I'll tell you why. It's about the philosophy of the team. Is he choosing someone like Bradman Best for the future? if so, why has he chosen Cody Walker, who's in his 30s?
33. So he's got like, what, 1 or 2 years in him?
You know? And then, he's chosen like Keon Kalamatangi to start. Great choice. Should have been there from game one.
I like Kawatu in there.
Olakwatu's not in there.
He's on the bench.
Isaiah Yeo, Jacob Saifidi, Reece Robson, and Clint Gutherson.
So what do you need anyway? What does he need Gutherson? Where's he going to play? 5 minutes playing where? Hooker? After Robson?
Reece Robson's going to be
Or
there
is
to
he
play
have
hooker.
5 minutes in the centres?
I'm not really sure what
Is he waiting for Teddy to go down with the HIA? I don't understand some of these.
Yeah, what is he doing though? Is he playing
Look,
for the future?
he can probably play in the halves, but like...
Why wouldn't you have a Burden there who can cover centre, 5'8", 7, lock, like...
He's done that all series. If you remember, game 1, he had Nico Hines, and the guy hasn't been sighted since. Game 2, he had...
Why not Nico Hines there instead of Clint
I don't know.
Why would you,
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
Like,
Nico Hines.
what-
Did Nico Hines play great for the last couple of years for no reason?
It seems so. Just to be, to get his confidence shattered 5 minutes in game 1. I mean,
Okay, who are our starting forwards?
You're going to love this. Jake Trebojevic and Reagan Campbell-Gillard.
Oh, is he back from injury?
Yeah,
So what, straight in the side?
yeah.
There's no other forwards out there he could have chosen?
Well, he's dropped Junior Barlow.
I thought he was off pace for Origin anyway.
Yeah, I agree. But who else would you put there?
Obviously, Payne Haas is out injured.
Yeah, Payne Haas is out injured.
I
Look, I don't necessarily disagree with Reagan Campbell-Gillard. His numbers speak,
Yeah. Well, hang on a sec. Where's Moses Leota? Is he injured?
That's a good point. Where's Spencer Leniu?
I think he's 19th man.
Why
He's not even on the bench. Oh, you need another prop forward on the bench.
I think it's a very...
You could have probably put him. Who else is out there? So you got Isaiah Yeo. Is he going to play second row, or is he just going to go there and be another defensive second rower that comes fourth man into the tackle and bumps up his stats? Is that going to be one of those again?
Well, he might
because that's the sort of player he's developing into.
Well, he might use him as a rotation forward.
Okay, you got Jacob Saifidi in there.
Good move. I think you could add his brother there too.
Clemmer's not warranted.
I would have had Clemmer from game 1. That's honestly my opinion. I would have had Clemmer from game 1.
What about those Souths big boppers? None of them are eligible for New South Wales.
I think
Totola?
Yeah, I think Totola's eligible.
So didn't even get a look in either.
I think he's been really good.
He's one of the better
really
front rowers in the game.
I think he's been really consistent.
Canberra's got Kiwis in there. I'm just thinking Cronulla's have got Kiwis. Bloody hell. Oh, hang on a sec. Rudolph, what is he? Queensland?
I think he's injured. He's been out for a while now, Rudolph.
Yep. Don't worry about St. George.
I mean, he's dropped Hudson Young. Yeah?
Who?
He's dropped Hudson Young completely.
I thought he would have got dropped after the first game. Frizzell's gone?
Frizzell's gone.
Yep.
Makes sense. But again, if you've dropped Frizzell because whatever reason.
Frizzell I thought played better than Young. I thought Frizzell deserved a second game, but Hudson Young for me, non-existent in the first
second game.
Feels like he's overwhelmed completely.
Yeah. And I just don't understand if he's trying to build towards the future.
What about the other Manly front row?
Paseka?
Is he New South Welshman?
I'm not sure. I haven't really looked at it.
And if he is, why is Jake Trebojevic getting a look in?
I want to know.
What's he going to do?
What does Olakwatu need to do to get chosen?
I don't want to even say this on air, but
Please
anyway.
Please don't.
I definitely won't.
I mean, honestly.
what did Jake Trebojevic do to get in?
What does Moses Leota have to do, honestly?
Win 5 grand finals in a row.
Moses Leota's been incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And even Spencer Leniu. Spencer Leniu gets on there like this. That guy he's a raging lunatic.
Oh, yeah, he'd be great off the bench.
Raving lunatic.
He's made for Origin. Those 10, 15-minute stints.
I would have had him over.
He would run with venom.
I would have had him
and
over.
This is my criticism I pointed out last week for not only Payne Haas, but other New South Wales forwards. They don't run with that venom that past greats did. And you know what? Spencer Leniu, some of these runs this year have been absolutely crazy. He's leveled out players, run over them. That's the sort of players you need in State of Origin. Here's a golden opportunity to unleash him, and he's ignored him. 19th man. I'll call that ignoring him.
Oh, of course he's ignored him. He's not going to get a run.
Just put him there just to shut everyone up, I guess.
Essentially.
And Drinkwater's been fantastic. He's been fantastic for a number of years.
I reckon he would have killed Origin, to be honest.
Yeah,
I reckon he would have had an absolute field day at Origin. He's just... But I mean, look, I would have had Leniu or Leota over honestly, over Isaiah Yeo. I would have had one of the other...
I can't wait for... Look, I think Fittler's done at Origin, him and Alexander, some of their...
Yeah, agreed.
Lost 3 out of the last 4 series. They've had their run. There's no need. Good mate of mine, Omar, who's been on the podcast, actually raised a legit point yesterday. So, they're at the elite level. These players, they don't need to be coached anymore. They just need to basically be motivated, up for it.
Passion brought to the...
Yeah, look what Billy Slater's done with Queensland. He's pointing out Boyd Corner. His knowledge is amazing for the game. Obviously, he had to retire because of HIA. Until recently, he was the Australian New South Wales captain. Under him, New South Wales, I think, won 3 and 4 years or something. All of the players love him. They all respect him. Why not throw him into the ring? I'm sure he'll put his hand up for it. If not him, I can see Andrew Ryan, who's doing a great job of the 19s. He's another candidate. So I reckon see that Andrew Ryan's or Boyd Cordner.
I think good shout. Very, very good shout. I think they're very left field, but I think that's what New South Wales might need. Even like...
They don't need that specialist coach to come in and...
No, I agree with you.
They need someone that's they trust, they like, they're going to get up for it. Look at Slater with Queensland.
And
Cordner.
All they need is someone that can think on the fly, that can make some adjustments for the team as the game happens and be able to bring that passion. Like you hear Billy Slater talk, right? And the thing that strikes me about Billy Slater is number one, he's very intelligent. Hands down, one of the most intelligent
Everyone
thinks
thinks
in the game.
he was a great player because he was coached like that.
No.
But as a fullback, you have to have the insight to pop up where he did to read the
Fully
plays.
IQ.
He knew it at the time. His inside runs, you'd see him talk to the halves, the backs. He'd organise everything defensively.
Yeah. And that's what made him such a great
knows how to
fullback.
adapt.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes him. But also when he talks about his team, when he talks about the state, when he talks about what Origin means to him and what he brings to that team in terms of passion and motivation to actually want to play for the jersey, I think it's what New South Wales lacks. Right, and someone like I don't know personally whether Boyd Cordner or Andrew Ryan are the right personality for that. Right,
like I don't get it. Like you're chosen for the elite, squad for New South Wales. Why do you need Andrew Johns to come and teach you how to kick a ball?
You don't.
It's pointless. You don't need Fittler. You don't need Alexander. You don't need.
To be honest, I think John's hissy fits have been more counterproductive than anything.
Look, Johns. I'll give Andrew Johns one thing. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's New South Wales through and through. So I know. Don't upset him about New South Wales. I love that about him. But I think it's time we change the coaching staff. It's time to move on. I think Boyd Cordner's a good start. He's my preferred. Andrew Ryan is another good candidate.
Yeah. Look, something needs to be done. Whether it's left field coach or it's a more conventional coaching option like a Michael Maguire. I think Michael Maguire is...
I think his outbursts are probably too much sometimes. Look, Freddie, when he came in, he brought the energy. I think they won 3 out of the first 4 or something under him. It's just
wasn't it
2 out of the first 3. He's just stagnated. So
yeah, I think it's time for a change.
He won 3 series in 4 years. Remember that he won the 2 in a row and then lost the unlosable series, and then they bounced back when Teddy and Latrell tore him to shreds in 2021.
And then it's been nothing ever since.
Just been 2 years of stagnation and going backwards.
I think it's just been
walking barefoot as well.
I think he's just been outcoached by a smarter,
of course,
more intelligent coach. To be honest, no disrespect to Freddie, but I think Slater's just on another level. And if he ever becomes a coach for a club, he will do what Bellamy's done at Melbourne. Billy Slater. Yeah.
Oh, the players want to play for him.
Honestly, I think
because he's got their back.
Yeah, and the other thing that Billy Slater's done, which I think is genius, he's brought Thurston, he's brought Cameron Smith, he's brought Lockyer in, he's brought them in.
I guarantee you those guys don't overplay their hand whatsoever. Whereas you look at the New South Wales side, Brandy feels. I get this feeling he feels like he's the pompous uncle, that basically directs how the whole weekend barbecue's going, and then you got Freddie as well, who's the other elder that, he can't even question. Just feels like that's how the whole setup is.
I think that they're too buddy, not enough action. I don't know. I feel like he's too close to the players. He's not, I don't know. I feel like he doesn't demand enough of them. He doesn't drive them to be the best. I
think the players are just off him.
You look at someone like Xavier Coates, right? And probably hasn't had the best season.
I don't think Melbourne. The players need someone to tell them how to kick a ball, where to stand.
And Xavier Coates comes in and he plays like an absolute freak. You look at even Valentine Holmes up until the first game had done nothing at club level.
Oh, Cowboys are dreadful. Remember they got towed up 66-18?
Yeah, by the Tigers.
And then since then he's had 2 blinders at State of Origin.
And he's defending and running. It's just, and it's now it's translating back into his club form. That's the difference, right?
Good shout, yeah.
And I just don't feel that's happening with the Blues. But as we close, give me your predictions for Game 3.
Oh, definitely having some fried chicken to begin with. Bloody hell, like, I want to back the Blues, and I hope they absolutely towel Queensland up, but I still don't like I'm still not overly thrilled with the side he chose. Look, honestly, I like seeing Moses, who's a free-running spirit, on the right side, and he's got that great long ball throwing to Cody, who will run absolutely left side. I think, look, honestly, Bradman best playing on the left side. I think he'll thrive with Cody. I think you'll see that, and I hope they do. I think we'll put on a lot of points, whether we can hold them out. So I'm going to say Queensland 32-24.
Good shout.
I still think New South Wales will pile on the points. It's whether we can hold them out. I'm not overly still think we're short 2 or 3 good forwards. That's where it's missing.
I'm going to say that Queensland get the whitewash.
Just say New South Wales, please. Make your fans at home happy.
26-14.
That's not a bad shout either, yeah.
Yeah, I think I just don't think that we can break the Queensland defense. They've just been defending like their lives depend on it this series.
Just need someone from New South Wales to like be a freak.
That's not going to change.
Unfortunately, Latrell wasn't there, and then we lost Turbo quite early.
And I'll tell you why as well is I don't think Jake Trbojevic and Regan Campbell-Gillard are an effective starting prop.
Look, Regan will go. It's whether Jake will turn up. I mean, I just think his besties are behind him. Like Jake, remember when he first started?
Yeah, he's not a prop.
I always saw him as a lock, to be honest.
But you know what I will say? I will say our second row with Liam Martin, Keon Kalamatangi, and Cameron Murray, I think we
solid.
We have a better second row than they do.
Solid.
Right?
Very
more
solid.
Experience, very solid. I just, look. And
Cam
also,
Murray, absolute freak. Can I just point that out?
Our bench is too
look, I'll tell you what, I like Reece Robson continuously being in there.
But having Clint Gutherson there,
I thought we just need another front rower.
So they've got
maybe
on their
Junior
bench,
Tatola if he's eligible, or Spencer Lenny, or Moses Leota. Moses Leota didn't get a look in.
They've got Lindsay Collins, Moaki, Fotuaika, and Horsburgh, as well as Ben Hunt on their bench.
Jeez, what a bench!
What a great bench. We've got Isaiah Yeo, Jacob Salifidi, Reece Robson, Clint Gutherson. My opinion is that Isaiah Yeo and Clint Gutherson shouldn't be there.
Who are their back? Oh, no, hang on a sec. Look at their back 3. Patrick Carrigan, Jeremiah Nanai, David Fafita, Tina Farmer. Look, I'm just glad I chose Queensland after reading their lineup.
That's what I mean.
32-24. I'm just glad I read that.
Yeah,
like they still negate New South Wales.
So yeah, my
AJ Brimson. Look, yeah, so they lose Reece Walsh, they get Brimson.
I think, and they even had Kalen Ponga, who chose not to play, and he destroyed the Bulldogs.
I just hope Queensland have a shocker.
They won't. I think my prediction for the Game 3, is I think it's going to be 24-14 or 26-14. Yeah, 26-14 to the Queensland team. They're defending too well. They're playing like a unit that wants to win. And I think that our bench is...
They'll be motivated for the 3-zip. Daly Cherry Evans.
Absolutely.
He's been killing it.
I think our bench is too skinny. And with that, we've come to the end of the podcast. Thanks a lot, Dibbo. It's been frustrating. It's been very cathartic, though, to be able to talk about this.
Let us know your comments. I always look forward to reading your comments.
I love the comments. I love the interaction.
Any suggestions, any other topics you guys want to discuss, please put them in there.
We'll be looking forward to them. Make sure you like, subscribe, all our socials. Engage with us. If there's anything you want to ask myself specifically, Elmo, or specifically to Dibbo, please call us out in the comments. Keep them appropriate, but we love talking. We love responding and all the engagement. If you like our podcast and if you got into the deep end right now, please make sure to share our podcast with your rugby league friends. Share us far, share us wide. That helps us to continue to grow and to continue to provide content for you. Thank you very much, and I hope your team performs well on the weekend. Up the Dogs.